Oh, so as Africa, as a people, we are in a major crisis, African people in general. You know, be it you're white, you black, you Indian, you Chinese. If you say you're African, it's time to care for Africa now. Because we can't keep on having this sort of terrorism situation happening in Africa. Why always we having issues in Africa that divides Africans so badly? Why can't people now drive the narrative to just unite the Africans, to have them progress instead of trying to control them, undermine them, stuff like that? You see, so the gangsterism will always be supported and be pushed. Why? Because people think they're living in a state that controls them. So if people feel control, it's like in a game. Someone to break out of the control. So you have then people who create their own situations. So then it's a government, but then there's different governments and different departments of people and how they live their lives. You know, so the disorganization of almost all of our sectors of governance in Africa is hectic. You know, why all this dislocation and this disorganization? So this is something that has to be looked into because these cracks, in South Africa, the Benin, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, DRC, Congo, Mali, Somalia, Ethiopia, you know, what you call this, Libya, you know, we can name them and go on and on and on and on. You know, why is it African people have to continue to stay poor? Who structurize and create a system that keeps them down there? Because of course it's not the white man's fault at this stage that African people are poor. It's the system that was set that is still being used to keep us poor by our own people. So that has to change. We can't blame then the whites all the time. Let's get to a point whereby we all reason and just say, okay guys, let's have a clean start. Without being reminded of this, being reminded of that, being reminded of that. Because as a human collective, we're losing it. And as an African collective of people, I mean, you can only run there, there, and there. Why can't we have some sort of organization like the European system? Why can't we want to enforce that here? So that if the Africans have got such a good system, such a healthy system, such a safety system, then the world is starting to balance out on a hierarchy. You know, I will speak on also that, the hierarchy, because it's an issue in a sense that now we feel it's divide and conquer. So if amongst Triple C's, ZANU PF, MDC, they are divided, they are conquered by one power that benefits from whatever can be taken out of Zimbabwe or can be brought into Zimbabwe by production control, you know, because in chaos, production control is everything. So then that also means that the government don't really function like that. So it's only a few people who then benefits from such functions. It's dangerous for Africa to divide and conquer because we have only more and more and more and more chaos. So hate, they move us to hate. The system is driving hate towards people. That's dangerous because it's just spewing out of everywhere and we just can't have that. You know, it just drives everything far away from everything. And however people want to think they will gain out of chaos, believe me, we're going backwards. And for Africans, we're always going to be then 10 times back because you don't know what in Europe they've built, the system they've built for the future to develop, sustain their people and stuff. In Africa, we know exactly what we have not built, nothing yet. We complain, you know, we cry. It's just tears of, it's not even like, okay, as I was saying the other day, can Zimbabwe just give us a call? Say, look guys, there's resources. Can we employ certain people? Can we better certain people here in South Africa? Can people, poor people, be given the resources so they can adapt, create systems to better sustain Africa? We don't even know what we are in the next 2030, 2040, 2050. But one thing we know for sure is the agendas are being created for us. Evil intentions. Pain. That's all we see. When are we creating love? When are we loving these African kids? When are we loving them all without choosing how we are loving them, without choosing how we're loving them, without getting into their head to control the narrative of how we should love them? I mean, we believe me, we reason, we understand, we're intelligent. Some are not. Some that just choose not to. But anyone who reason is anyone who reason. You cut my skin right now, I'll bleed red. We cut anyone else's skin, they'll bleed red. We firmly on the fact that intellectually, spiritually, some of us click on levels that can't be understood, explained. It's a mystery. So for that, we have to care for one another, hence why it's important to not have evil intentions, to not think it's okay to hate that person or kill that person, or do wrong in South Africa, or do wrong in Zimbabwe, or this and this and that. It's just not cool. That's just not how human beings were intended to live. But of course, infiltration of the system and how we should be controlled. Lawlessness. So in Africa, I mean, there's this drive to have just lawlessness. That's dangerous again, because then that means rule of law at some point will be absolute, will be obsolete. It will not be working. Then when that happens, then we just going into people want to govern themselves. I don't think everybody can govern themselves. I have a song, of course, govern yourself, but on a spiritual level, I'm not saying you should be a law-abiding citizen. Nah. Spiritually, you govern yourself. You tell yourself, do right. Let's move correct, let me build this with the people and stuff like that. So you don't need someone to come and tell you you are messing up here, or you are hurting someone there and stuff like that. Have that passion. So that's just something that Africa is lacking. So we are mostly now seeing lawlessness and moving that, and that's just dangerous. And then why do we see all that? Why are these kids rebellious? Because we can't just blame the kids for being rebellious, or blame wrong for why it's wrong. It's already wrong. So how do we fix it, and why was it wrong in the first place? Why are people being rebellious to the government? Why did people boo and tell the president Ramaphosa to leave, which was really, really bad, and it's sad that we can even stoop low as a people. But why do we stoop that low? Why does that happen? Accountability. None to nobody who's on lower levels, Because of course the president was like, you want your 1,000 rand, right? You want your 1,000 rand, right? That's a good speech, yes. People want the money, but it's almost sometimes they'll feel like they're being teased. So I have much respect and love for the president. I feel he's a good human being, We can't please them all as people. But for him to be treated like such, it's sad. But also, Mr. President, you can't chelete them. You want chelete, they'll feel sometime, because 1,000 rand even increase from people who earn, say, millions. It can be sometimes a little bit of an insult. Direction for our African leaders. Where are you taking us, all of us? Because y'all came from, say, some of y'all, the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, the 70s, of which majority of these kids who are giving problems, these are millennium babies, 2000 going upwards. So where are you directing them to? Because the politics that worked then is not working for these kids, man. These kids are not being told the truth. They just feel like lies is what they just heard. And they have to actually just grasp those lies, take those lies in, and just feed it. If you don't want, we will beat you to take the lies. so they're not getting the truth. That's how they get then rebellious. They feel manipulated. You just feel manipulated to vote for what? Manipulated to do that action for what? Majority of us, we all have to just figure out life for ourselves. But we are told, no, everything will be all right. How? It's not, because yes, we have to work for ourselves, then everything will be all right. But then don't lie to us and manipulate us as a system or as our African leaders. We do not like that. Because when that happens, then these kids, they don't see value. And then there's chaos. Why do you force? Why do you always have to force us? No, you must take this now. No, you must do this now. No, you must now. I mean, nature don't force us to do things. You're not forced to go to sleep. You just go to sleep. You're not forced to eat. Maybe some are forced kids, but they say it's good for you. So why does the system have to force us to obey? Obey. Because spiritually, people feel sometimes that they obey to spiritual higher power. So then intimidating people sometimes, that's how you don't reach them. Force is not good. Don't force. Control. Controlling a subject is good. But when you control so many people, it's dangerous. There's so many examples of how just people are difficult to please and difficult to control. So how you choose to control them is just one of those things that is seen as just like it's out of order, It's just like you control us, but to what? We still remain poor. Our grandmothers died poor. Our mothers, our fathers are barely making it, still poor. We that knew that was supposed to be okay, we're still just battling poor. So I mean, can you really blame them for all these answers, for all these questions, They just, the public African kid just feels humiliated, man. No, you're not this. No, you're not wanted. No, you have to be a refugee. An African kid is just humiliated, man. It's just humiliation. But that humiliation don't mean that African kids humiliate themselves. No, something has to humiliate them. Why? Why does our government have to humiliate us? Why do they not care about us? Those are the questions that they should sleep with. Why do they kill us? For political reasons. For whatever reason that's not cool. Why do they kill? Why do people get killed? I mean, people will still die anyway. Why even kill something? I mean, that's just misery upon misery, demons, curses, and stuff like that. Why even just? So why do they do that? Why do they beat us? Why do they kill African people? Why are we so sometimes sad and angry? Because when you're sad, then you're very angry. So we then destroy. Why is our politics so angry, man? Huh? Why is it that you impose wars on us? You go to these African unions, then 1 minute, next second, you come with a deal there. We did not even vote for none of these things. So we use this collateral damage to Africa. It's sad, man. So then we end up in wars. Those wars, they start why? Because they always invite something that is to invite something. So we invite terrorism then. Gangsterism, disorganization, chaos in Africa. We're divided, we're conquered. This hierarchy. The problem with hierarchy is hierarchy creates small hierarchies and systems, which again goes back to gangsterism, terrorism, because people will always create what they think is good for them depending on where they live. Power. So using power. Power is money, right? Using that wealth, flaunt it on all of us. We should want it. We should strive for it. so that it can depress, and kill us. Money is good. People's intentions and behaviors are terrible with money, man. The agendas for all people, man. People just feel like they were born for agendas, for a specific agenda. They just don't feel loved. So if our African leaders can love us, then we can get out of problems, because as African people, we're screwed, and we have a lot of issues we need to deal with. And these issues, they actually just takes us back further, if not even worse than times of colonization, because after chaos and all this gangsterism, terrorism, disorganization, Africa will change forever. Because Africa has been changing. Africa, we are multiple of races and stuff like that. So who is African? Who will be African? So I urge all Africans, people who live in Africa, to protect Africa, to love Africa, to understand it. Because we all bring the world to what it is. Black is necessary, white is necessary, Chinese is necessary, Indian is necessary, colored, if you say it's colored, it's black to me, which is beautiful. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you are identifying. We're all beautiful. This knowledge, this education, it's important for us to preserve, move that like a seed. You know how they preserve seeds? For when the world comes to an end, we should preserve good values, good nature, good people. We move that. That's how we can fix Africa. Because at this moment, Africa is in trouble, man. Africa is in trouble. Africa is in trouble. And we need to help fix Africa, take it out of this trouble. It doesn't matter who put it there, but all of us, we can take it out of this. And when we do that, believe me, we'll be closer to reaching heaven, or whatever you call beauty, or whatever you call perfect. Because even after life, you will feel that connection of how people merged and became one beautiful object. We give thanks